The amphitheater of the Galactic Military Academy fell silent as Commander Fiza stepped onto the holographic platform. Around her, cadets from 47 species sat in ascending rows, their various appendages, tentacles, and sensory organs focused on the human instructor. She was small by galactic standards, barely reaching the chest height of the average Vorthian warrior. Yet something in her bearing commanded attention. "Today's tactical simulation," Fiza announced, her voice carried by the translation matrix to every species present, "will demonstrate why humanity earned its seat on the Galactic Defense Council." A ripple of skepticism passed through the audience. Humans had joined the galactic community only 30 cycles ago. Newcomers, really. The Krell Empire alone had maintained order for 10,000 cycles before Earth's first warp signature appeared. Basit, a Terran military historian, stood in the observation deck above. He watched Fiza with a mixture of pride and concern. They had argued about this demonstration. The other species weren't ready for the truth. They couldn't understand what desperation and determination could forge in a species that had clawed its way up from a death world. "Cadet Jathik," Fiza called out to a massive Krell in the front row, his exoskeleton gleaming under the amphitheater lights. "Tell me, how many Krell warriors would your tactical doctrine suggest for a defensive position against a battalion-strength assault?" The Krell's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Standard defensive doctrine requires a 3-to-1 ratio, Commander. For a battalion of 500, we would position 1,500 defenders with appropriate support weapons and barriers." "Reasonable," Fiza nodded. "And you, Cadet Shiara?" She gestured to a graceful Lithoran whose crystalline skin refracted the light into dancing patterns. "The Lithoran Concordat employs energy shields and automated defense systems," the cadet responded, her voice like chimes. "We would require perhaps 800 personnel to maintain the defensive grid against such numbers." "Also sound tactics," Fiza agreed. She walked to the center of the platform and the lights dimmed. "Now let me show you something from human history." The holographic projectors flared to life. A barren landscape materialized around them, all rock, sand, and the twisted remains of metal structures. The alien cadets leaned forward, their various visual organs straining to understand the desolate terrain. "This is Kepler 442b, colony designation New Hebron," Fiza continued. 17 years ago, this mining colony of 4,000 civilians came under attack by the Zathan swarm during their incursion into our space. Basit closed his eyes in the observation deck. He knew this story. He had written the historical analysis himself. Even now, the numbers seemed impossible. The hologram shifted, showing a recording from a security camera. A lone figure in powered armor stood at a narrow canyon pass, the only approach to the underground shelters where the colonists had fled. "This is Lance Corporal Marcus Webb," Fiza said quietly. 23 years old. His relief transport had been destroyed in orbit. His squad was dead. Communication with Earth was cut off. He had whatever ammunition he carried, one heavy weapon, and this choke point. The simulation began to play. The Zathan came like a tide of chitin and rage. Insectoid warriors bred for conquest, each one capable of tearing through bulkheads with their molecular edge claws. The counter in the corner of the hologram began tracking their numbers, 50, 100, 200. Webb opened fire. The heavy weapon roared, sending explosive rounds into the packed mass of aliens. When it clicked empty, he dropped it and raised his rifle. When the rifle ran dry, he drew his sidearm. When the sidearm's last round was spent, he fixed a blade to his rifle and charged. The alien cadets watched in stunned silence as the lone human fought with a ferocity that seemed impossible. He used the terrain, collapsing parts of the canyon. He used the Zathan bodies as barriers. He fought for 18 hours without pause. The final count, Fiza said as the hologram froze on Webb's battered armor, still standing as dawn broke over the colony, was 2,347 Zathan dead. One human marine. "Impossible," Jathik breathed. "No single warrior could—" "The bodies were counted and verified," Basit interrupted from the observation deck, descending the stairs. "I did the verification myself. The colony surveillance systems recorded everything." He joined Fiza on the platform, pulling up additional data. "What you need to understand is that humans don't come from a normal world. Earth is classified as a Class 9 death world. Everything there evolved to survive in impossible conditions. Humans evolved to hunt animals larger and stronger than themselves. They evolved to pursue prey across impossible distances. They evolved to look at a problem and refuse to accept that there is no solution. Fiza nodded, bringing up more images, humans in various combat situations throughout their history and their brief time in galactic space. We call it the indomitable spirit. Every human has it to some degree. When cornered, when protecting something they love, humans don't calculate odds. They don't accept defeat. They fight until they physically cannot continue, and then they fight some more. Lance Corporal Webb was evacuated when relief finally arrived. Bassett continued. He had 14 broken bones, 3 punctured organs, severe blood loss, and toxin contamination from Zathan venom. He was asked how he kept fighting. Do you know what he said? The amphitheater was absolutely silent. He said, "They were between me and my people. What choice did I have?" Shiara's crystalline form flickered with confused colors. But surely this was an exceptional individual, an outlier in human capability? Fiza smiled grimly. That's what the Academy thought when we first applied for membership in the Defense Council. They said humans were too fragile, too small, too new. So we offered a challenge. She gestured broadly. We would provide 1 human soldier. The Academy could send however many cadets they wanted. Objective, capture a defended position. The Academy sent 200 of their best, Basit said. The human held the position for the entire 6-hour exercise. 47 cadets required medical attention. None of them even breached the final defensive line. Jothik's mandibles clicked in agitation. Which elite warrior did you send? A corporal from a logistics unit, Fiza replied. He volunteered because his shift was over and he thought it would be fun. The implications settled over the cadets like a heavy blanket. These small, fragile-looking beings from the death world weren't just soldiers. They were something the galaxy had never encountered before. Every single one of them carried that same spark, that same refusal to yield. The question you should be asking, Bassett said, walking among the rows of cadets, is not how many can one human fight. The question is, what are they fighting for? Because the answer to that question determines everything. A human fighting for pay is dangerous. A human fighting for honor is deadly. But a human fighting for their loved ones? He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. That human is unstoppable. Fiza brought up the final hologram, Earth itself, blue and beautiful and teeming with life. This is why humanity was given a seat on the Defense Council. Not because we're the strongest or the most advanced, but because when the galaxy faces an enemy that won't negotiate, won't retreat, and won't stop coming, you need warriors who understand the same language. She met the eyes of each cadet in turn. You need warriors who simply refuse to lose. The amphitheater remained silent as the implications washed over them. In the galactic arena, humanity had been the newcomer, the unknown quantity, the small species from a backwater system. Now they understood. Humans weren't just another warrior race to add to the galactic roster. They were the ones you called when retreat wasn't an option, and victory was the only acceptable outcome no matter the cost. As the cadets filed out, whispering among themselves in dozens of languages, Bassett turned to Fiza. Do you think they understand now? Fiza watched the retreating forms, seeing the new respect and perhaps a touch of fear in their movements. They're beginning to, but understanding humans and being ready for what we're capable of? She smiled. The galaxy will never truly be ready for that truth. Above them, through the transparent dome of the Academy, Earth hung in the sky like a blue promise. A reminder that from the most dangerous world had come the most dangerous warriors. Not because they were born to fight, but because they were born refusing to give up. And in a galaxy full of threats, that made all the difference.